Hello everyone, I'm Carl Azus and you've landed on CNN 10 on this last day of November 2020. We are kicking off the first of 3 weeks we have left on air this year, and it starts with an overview of what we know about the holiday season so far, with Thanksgiving behind us and Hanukkah and Christmas on the way. Sunday was expected to be the busiest travel day in America since the coronavirus pandemic sank in early this year. We don't have final numbers for it yet, but we can report that roughly 1,071,000 people passed through U.S. airport checkpoints on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. That was the most since March. It was less than half the number of airline travelers on the same day last year, but travel officials expected that more Americans would be driving this time around. So overall, fewer people were expected to travel during the pandemic, but not by a lot as compared with last year. And that reflects a significant part of the population that said the pandemic would not affect their Thanksgiving plans, though it did for many other Americans. Observers say the pandemic is part of the reason why an estimated 50 million Americans won't have enough to eat this year. Feeding America, a hunger relief group, says that estimate of 50 million is 6 million short of where it was during the Great Recession, whose effects sank in 2008. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says it set aside $850 million to help food banks with their running costs in food purchases. It says it has an additional $873 million available to buy farm products for food banks. The money came from the $2.2 trillion COVID relief bill that President Donald Trump signed in March. And as far as economic indicators go, an analyst with the National Retail Federation says overall, stocks are up, home values are growing, and wages are rising. So his organization expects that shopping sales will be higher this year than they were in 2019. Experts say some Americans are willing to spend a little more on Christmas gifts to psychologically make up for some of the challenges they've faced throughout the year. But others don't have as much money to spend this time around, so predictions like this are a mixed bag. And the way people shop has clearly been affected in 2020.
At the Hilldale Shopping Center in Madison, Wisconsin, only a few shoppers were seen heading into Macy's early on Black Friday.
Merry Christmas, everyone!
As for Santa, kids had to see him virtually. At this cavernous mall in West Nyack, New York, some shoppers turned up because it was such a ghost town.
I feel good. I feel safe. I feel comfortable. I like it. There's nobody out here. It's perfect. Perfect for a shopper like me.
After a Thanksgiving like no other, retail experts say America headed into a Black Friday and a holiday shopping season like no other.
You've seen retailers take extraordinary steps to protect their teams, their associates, their partners, and of course the customers and the communities in which they live and work. And we're going to continue to see that. And consumers are altering their behavior as well.
Stores are reinventing the shopping experience to guard against coronavirus spikes. Chains like Best Buy and Home Depot offered online sales earlier. Walmart, America's largest retailer, is spreading Black Friday sales over 3 weekends. The general manager of a California mall discussed new measures to protect those who come in person.
We have free masks for anyone that just forgot one in the car. We've installed hospital-grade filters in the property. We will have occupancy limits pursuant to the health department guidelines. We have free health sanitizer.
But experts say we can count on reduced physical traffic at malls and shopping centers this year, as consumers are scared away from possible contact at brick-and-mortar stores.
There is going to be a surge online, and that means that you have to be particularly careful and also not wait till the last minute.
That's because experts say this year there have been problems in the supply chains of some retailers.
We've had a whole stoppage in the inventory system, and there's just not that much product out there. So you have this duality of you can't have a lot of people, you don't have a lot of product, and unfortunately for the shoppers, what it means is you're not going to have a lot of discounts.
As for the overall economic ramifications, the signals are mixed. The president of the National Retail Federation says he expects to see strong consumer spending this holiday season. But a Gallup poll last month found that 28% of Americans plan on spending less on holiday gifts this year.
There are still millions of people who are out of work or don't have the same kind of hours that they had in the past. And also remember, this time of year, lots of people get second jobs at retailer stores. That's not happening either because not as many people are in the stores.
10-second trivia. Which of these U.S. universities has the oldest football team? Rutgers, Yale, Notre Dame, or Vanderbilt? Rutgers has the oldest football program dating back to 1869. Vanderbilt is from 1890 and the youngest on this list. Sarah Fuller is a senior at Vanderbilt University. She's a goalkeeper for the women's soccer team. She's also a kicker on Vanderbilt's football team, and that's why she just made news on Saturday. In the second half of Vanderbilt's game against Missouri, Fuller delivered a 30-yard kickoff. It was down at Missouri's 35-yard line. But that kick made her the third woman ever to play at this level of NCAA Division I football, and she's the first to play in the Power 5 conference. That's the 5 biggest athletic conferences in America. Vanderbilt says it offered the chance to Fuller because some of its specialist kickers are in quarantine due to coronavirus. The team lost the game 41-0, but Vandy's head coach says he'd love to have Fuller continue if she's available, and she says she'd love that, especially if she could score a field goal or an extra point. A bridge has also been built in the town of White Bluff, Tennessee, between two competing council candidates. The problem they faced could have been solved by the municipal government or in a runoff election, but they opted for an approach that dates back to a simpler time.
Something's happened in White Bluff you just don't see very often.
I mean, the odds has to be in the millions.
We're gonna make history, I guess.
This may never happen again for another 100 years.
What are they talking about? Well, Eric Mason and Brian Hill just ran for White Bluff Council. White Bluff voted, and when the tallies were done, Eric had 893 votes, and Brian had 893 votes. Yes, really.
I know.
I was amazed, I'll tell you.
893 to 893, it was just, it was unbelievable.
So what do you do with an exact tie vote? Well, Eric and Brian talked about the options and agreed. Coin toss.
Nobody has an advantage, it's 50-50, there it is.
Now the guys could have started back, campaigning again for a special election. But they felt that would just cost White Bluff money. It would make people get out during COVID. So they figured, end it. Eric and Brian wait at the Civic Center for 6 o'clock. The coin toss.
I have respect for him, feel like he has it for me.
We didn't want it to be, like everything else is in politics, a battle. We'd rather just bring the community together.
The time is here.
I'm pretty comfortable whichever way this goes.
Brian, over on the right, wins. A handshake ends an election you just don't see very often.
For 10 out of 10, whatever you do, don't look down. Or look down. That's why most people come here. This is the world's tallest outdoor elevator according to Guinness World Records. It towers 1,070 feet above a national forest in southeastern China, and it carried up to 18,000 tourists a day before the coronavirus pandemic. Some believe the forest inspired the movie Avatar. You could say the elevator inspired the movie Gravity. Or maybe Days of Heaven, Made in Heaven, Just Like Heaven, Miracles from Heaven, Kingdom of Heaven. Heaven can wait. Heaven is for real. All that heaven allows, all dogs go to heaven. Heaven knows, Mr. Allison, that some of those movies, like that elevator, can really give you a lift. Hey, you know what gives us a lift? Announcing the schools that subscribe and leave a comment at youtube.com/CNN10. And today, that school that gets the shout out is Wadena Deer Creek High School. It is located in Wadena, Minnesota. You guys are awesome. I'm Carl Azus for CNN.